Okay, I recently received my very first Rapido locomotive, and this is a very special locomotive. As many of you know, Jason Strom at Rapido is a big rail fan, but not many know he's also a big-time Trekkie. With the passing of Leonard Nimoy, also known as Mr. Spock, Jason wanted to do something to honor the actor. He decided to hold a silent auction to raise money for the Canadian Lung Association. He commissioned the creation of 40 LRC type locomotives to be painted in the original Star Trek Shuttlecraft colors. All the proceeds, over $20,000, were donated to the Canadian Lung Association in Mr. Nimoy's name. There were over 100 people bidding, and I was lucky enough to get one of them. I received number 20 of 40, as you can see by the box right there. And it does actually say Starfleet NCC 1701/8 on the box for the locomotive road number. Okay, the locomotive came with the standard items that come with a couple extra couplers, an LRC pin, but all of this also got this wonderful little certificate of authenticity signed by Jason, showing that we supported the Lung Association and are proud owners of one of these wonderful locomotives. So, here is the locomotive itself. Like all Rapido products, detailing is everything. I already have a club car by Rapido, and this one blows that car out of the water. The paint is very crisp and details are abounding. You have separate metal gratings up on the top. The main radiator fan, a little difficult to see in this shot here, but you'll see one closer, is actually a separate piece inside. You have the hoists here. You can actually run wires through those. If you could imagine having a scene where the top was being lifted off, you could do it with that. The front and rear details are also impressive. Again, a little tough to tell on this shot here, but you have separate detailing all on the bottom. You have separate coupler release hooks here, cords here, etched metal windshield wipers. On the rear, again, you'll see some better pictures a little later. My camera's not the greatest. MU cables, all of the handrails and stuff. Extremely detailed locomotive. Operating this locomotive, before I forget, on the bottom, and I was very surprised by this, is underneath, they also initialed 20 or 40 here on the front truck, and Jason initialed it on the back truck. Not a lot of detail on the bottom, as these were aerodynamic locomotives. Operationally, this is different from any other locomotive you've ever purchased. Read the owner's manual. Not only is it informative, it's full of humor. Things like breaking the locomotive in. Basically, it says, no, we don't mean breaking into your wife's sock drawer to find her secret stash of cash to purchase your next locomotive from Rapido. The locomotive does run as soon as you put it on the tracks. However, it is designed to be very realistic. It will only run at yard speeds. There's a certain set of sequences that you have to do to get the locomotive to fire up at full speed. These locomotives are also referred to as screamers, as for the most part they were always running at full throttle in order to supply HEP power for the cars. This locomotive actually came to us DC, so I did have to order a decoder, which did show up. I'm going to show you a little bit of the insides of the locomotive. The wonderful speakers, the weight, very, very nice locomotive. After that, I'll show you the startup and shutdown sequences, along with some of the sounds that the locomotive has, including a few announcements that it has. So with that, let's continue. We'll take a look at the inside. Okay, the decoder for my LRC Shuttlecraft locomotive arrived today. I thought I would show you what the inside of one of these looked like. I did order the 21-pin decoder. It just drops right in and you're ready to go. The locomotive itself boasts 2 speakers. You have one in the rear, one in the front. Again, Rapido liking detail. You can see the fan there is actually a separate piece. You also have some detail in the cab. Add an engineer or two and you've got a very nice little scene. A little shot of the inside there. You've got a couple of long shafts, one locomotive, or excuse me, one motor. I'm going to put the shell on this locomotive here in a second. We're going to test run and fire it up. Before I get to that on the video, I am going to take some close-up pictures of the detail of the bodywork on the shell, and then we'll go right to the video of the locomotive in operation. Okay, well, I started doing some test sounds and test runs and noticed that there was a little bit of distortion in the speakers the way they sounded. Read the manual, also saw this online. Something you'll want to look at if you get one of these things or put in your decoder. There are 2 screws, one here, one here. I've already removed them. Lift the panel up out of the way. There's your speaker. The culprit in many cases, or most cases, sometimes you'll find something in the speaker itself. As in the case, that's what happened with me. Is I actually had 2 things happen. Is one, I actually found a staple inside here. I don't think that was the cause because it was still there when I put it down. But this screw right here was my culprit. You file it down a little bit, or they say shim it with some 040 styrene. It was very easy to file. File that down, distortion goes away, sounds great. Okay, you can see we have power to the track. The truck lights and the number board lights are always on. As long as there's power to the track, those are always on. Alright, let's turn the lights on and go through the startup sequence. Okay, now we'll do the shutdown sequence.
collapse in 10 seconds. Warning, warp core collapse in 10 seconds.
Looks like Shadow Galileo on steroids.
That's my review of the LRC Shuttlecraft locomotive. I am very, very impressed with this locomotive. Well above my expectations. I really expected this locomotive to be really good. It was better than really good. Took this to work to show off to my friends who are also Trekkies. They were amazed by it. Every one of them said they could not believe the detail. They were just in awe of the quality and how this thing looked. Its performance is great. I am just ecstatically happy with this locomotive. I cannot wait to get my F40PH later this year. All I can say is, Rapido, continue doing what you're doing. You're doing it right. I hope we can see some more American stuff soon, but for now, this thing's going to be running quite a bit. So with that, live long and prosper.